Hey everyone, we are back. Sorry, it's been a little longer than I thought it was going to be in between videos. Farm life is crazy. Love it, but crazy. And I have the sniffles. It's not the pandemic, but the winter in northern lower Michigan, or the weather is driving my sinuses crazy. So, anyways, we are making a wall organizer today. Again, out of feed bags. It's very simple. You need ribbon, at least 1.5 inch wide, 2-inch wide, whatever you have. You can use a satin ribbon like this, or you can use a grosgrain. You need a wire hanger or a plastic hanger, whatever hanger you have. I have a ton of wire hangers, and some were actually spray painted for a completely different project that I don't need anymore, so this just happened to work out for this. The biggest thing to remember with your hanger is it can't be wider than your feed bag. You need some plastic tablecloth covering type material. You can get it, I know Walmart sells it. I think Joann Fabric sells it. You can find it all different places. You don't want really the super thick, but you don't want the real thin either. So there's a medium, and I think the paper covering on it where I purchased it is blue. And then your feed bag. Okay. So with this ribbon or grosgrain, either one, you're going to want to take a lighter and you're going to want to melt the ends before you sew them, because you will melt this plastic if you do it after. And what I'm going to do is I already pre-cut my plastic sheets. You can do as many rows as you can fit on this. For the video, we're just going to do 2 rows, so it'll have a total of 4 pockets. I went ahead and pre-cut everything, just to save time. But you're going to want your plastic to be 1.5 the width of your feed bag, in order to give yourself some room so your pockets aren't completely flat and it's difficult to get anything in them. We're going to do a little tuck so they have some the ability to put items in there. I sell a ton of these to people that like show horses or compete with horses. They put them in their tack, or in their horse trailer for tack. I have people that get them for 4-H kids, put their tack in. I have people that use them at home. They store dog leashes in. Any number of things. So, what you're going to do first, once you have your plastic cut, you're going to take your ribbon and you are going to measure it, the length of your plastic, and cut it, and go ahead and melt the ends, both ends. So I went ahead and cut my 2 pieces of ribbon. I've melted the ends. That way we don't have any fraying, and it just kind of finishes the edges off. For this particular ribbon, they're both a satin side. But some ribbons, you can even do ribbons that have little pictures and designs on them. Whatever floats your boat, as long as they are wide enough that we can fold it in half and encase the plastic in that, and still give yourself enough room to stitch stuff down. So that's what we're going to do next, actually. Let's get these out of the way. Hang on to our hanger. So what we're going to do, I need 1 sheet. We're going to fold this in half. We're going to do it at the end, though. And I'll adjust this, but basically, we're going to fold this in half on the edge of the plastic, and we're going to stitch it down all the way, so we're kind of giving it a finished edge. One thing I want to tell you guys, always use a denim needle when you're doing this. Use a sharp needle, not a ballpoint. And when you're working with this type of plastic, if you've been sewing something else, I always put a fresh needle in when I start making wall organizers. Feed bags are hard on those needles anyhow, but the plastic on top of it makes it really difficult, so they'll dull out pretty quick on you. Okay, I have both pieces of plastic and ribbon stitched together, so you can see. We're just going to fold these in half and set these aside and come back to those in a minute. For your feed bag, you were going to fold it in half lengthways. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There we go. So, lengthways. And you're going to finger press the seam just at the top, just like the top inch and a half, roughly. And you just want a decent crease so you'll be able to see it. Now, unfold it so you can see your crease right here. And whatever side you want to start on. You're going to stitch about a 1/2 inch in from their stitch line from the original bag. And you're going to stitch until you get, here's our crease, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And you're going to stop. Pick up your needle, put it back down 1 inch on the other side, and continue on. Okay, so I've done the stitching. And here's our crease right here. And there's the thread where I picked it up and I started back up again, continued on to the end. Now, do not cut this. Leave it here. We're going to turn the bag right side out, and this is going to help the bag, you'll see, but it'll help the bag at the top hold its shape. So go ahead and turn your bag right side out, and you're going to have to use your finger and press out these corners here at the top. I have the feed bag turned right side out. Here at the top, use my finger, push the seam out, or the corner out as far as I could. It's not going to be a sharp corner. It's feed bag. And then I use my finger and finger press all the way down. This is where our opening is, and this is why you want to leave that thread there. It gives it some shape. So finger press all the way through until we get to the other corner. And then I usually just run my hand along and flatten this bag back out. Okay. Next, you're going to take your hanger, and it doesn't matter which direction you have the hook, it's your choice. I don't know, it's up to you. I usually do it this way, just, I guess, habit. When I'm lining up, 40 or 50 of these to make it once, it's easier just to have everything all the same, but it's your choice. So go ahead and feed your hanger up through the feed bag. Once you have your hanger through, you're going to actually, to get your hanger through this tip, you have to put it towards an angle through your opening, and then you just have to maneuver it until you get this all the way through. It takes a little time, and it can be frustrating at first, but once you get the tip through, you can kind of use your finger and just work it up through that hole. So, now that we have this here, we want to make sure our hanger is as straight, the bottom part of our hanger is as straight as possible. What I like to do is I take the hanger and I fold it up and make sure that I'm straight. Plus that gives me a sewing guideline. I know that I don't want my pockets to go any higher than the bottom of this hanger. I don't know what kind of machine you have, but mine is not going to go through metal. So again, you're just going to finger crease it where this bottom of the hanger is. There's our crease. Down here at the bottom, if you remember in the first or second video we did, I said that the feed bags, you're going to cut them and they're going to be all kinds of uneven, and don't worry about it. Same thing with this, you don't need to worry about it. We're going to fold it up. When you're folding up the bottom, if you have a shorter side and a longer side like I did here, start folding at your shorter side and work your way around. This is what it's going to look like. And then I just finger press until I get it pretty firm. And then you're going to lay it flat. About a quarter to a half inch in, you're just going to stitch it shut. So at this point, this is how we should look. We have our hanger here, our bag. The bottom seam is now closed. Take one of your pieces of plastic that you had sewn the ribbon onto earlier. Now, I personally like to do my bottom row of pockets first. Whatever makes sense to you. The premise is the same. You are going to line up your plastic and see how, I will warn you ahead of time, I should have done this earlier. With this type of plastic, you can use a ruler and cut it as straight as possible, and when you go to line up to a feed bag, it's no longer straight. I don't know why, but I go through this every single time. So, I usually have it hang off just a little bit so I can kind of trim it down if I need to. It's up to you. We're going to do a straight stitch here until we get to this corner. And then you're going to leave your needle in, lift your presser foot, and turn. When you get to this corner, your first corner, what you are going to do, I already have it set up. Sorry, it's kind of blurry while I do this. Ouch. You're going to take your plastic and you're going to do a pleat. So you're going to come out here about an inch away from it. And you're going to pleat it up. So now we are giving ourselves some space in our pockets. So they're not flat to the bag. You'll put your presser foot down. For the sake of this video, we're going to do 2 pockets and then 2 more pockets on the next one. You can do one huge pocket. I wouldn't recommend it. It kind of flaps down a little bit, but it's up to you. You could do several smaller, narrow pockets. You can make these short and do 4 rows of pockets. But for here, we get to the middle, or almost to the middle of the bag, and how we did a pleat on this end, and we pulled it and folded it. We're going to, pull it and fold it the other way. In total, you're actually going to use about an inch of your plastic, but it's only going to look like a ½ inch with your pleat. Once we've made that second pleat, needle down, and this is where it gets kind of difficult to manipulate all of this, but I usually roll it up a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch up this way to make one pocket, and then I stitch right back down next to it to start making the second one. When you get back down to start your second pocket, you're going to do it the same way we did over here. Finger pinch, lay it flat, stitch it over. Our first row of pockets is done. This is why we did the pleat. Now I can fit, in this instance, this will be what I take to markets to hold my bags, my business cards, any little things like that. That way I don't have them cluttered up on my table, my display table. Now we are going to make the top row of bags. We're going to do it the same way. It does get a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to roll this a little bit. I wouldn't tight roll it because you don't want to damage your plastic. This right here is why I said to go ahead and do a crease. You know where the bottom of your hanger is? My plastic for my top row is literally about a ½ inch too wide. So I'm going to go ahead and trim a ½ inch off of this before I sew. just so everyone can see, this is what I was talking about, how you kind of have to fold it and manipulate it. It can get frustrating. For the video, it was just easier just to do a 4-pocket one, plus that's what I wanted for myself. I will say it is much easier to manipulate all of this on your machine when you do like 3 or 4 rows, not just 2. Much easier, especially if you do like 3 or 4 pockets across, not just 2. Okay, I will say for this one, my hanger was just a tad too wide. It fit, definitely struggled here in the middle because the hanger was wider than the arm opening of my sewing machine, but it's okay. We are done. Now you can take, oops, sorry. Put your tag on. And there you have a wall organizer. Thank you everyone for watching. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram both under Howling Moon Farm. We are also on Pinterest under Howling Moon Farm. And come out and say hi next time when we make a crossbody bag. Thanks.